Welcome to Queer News Tonight. I'm John Hayden, and I'm proud to talk to some of the most interesting people of our LGBTQ plus community and our allies. This program is unique because it is an unedited conversation. At Hotspots Magazine, Happening Out Television Network, our mission is based on the 10 pillars of the LGBTQ plus community. We believe our history and future are based on the communities of Black LGBTQ plus, Latino, lesbian and queer women, trans, students, youth, seniors, HIV/AIDS healthcare, business, social justice, and faith. Abortion and gender-affirming medical treatment for transgender youth are at the heart of this so-called culture war raging in American politics, with Republican-dominated legislatures across the country banning or putting sharp restrictions on both. HRC reports that Republicans introduced more than 500 bills affecting LGBTQ plus people this year, with at least 49 passing. Following in those footsteps, Nebraska lawmakers had also passed a bill limiting abortion and putting restrictions on gender-affirming medical care for transgender youth in a single piece of legislation. The bill would have banned abortions at 12 weeks of age, at 12 weeks of gestation, and State Senator Machaela Cavanaugh and others protested it. She went to the podium shouting, "Trans people belong here. We love trans people." She serves Nebraska's District 6, which serves Omaha. She also sits on the Health and Human Services Committee, Transportation and Telecommunications Committee, and the Performance Audit Committees. She is undoubtedly one of the strongest supporters and allies of transgender rights, and she is with us today. Welcome, State Senator. How are you?
Thank you. I'm well. Thank you for having me here.
Now, they tried to pass this bill, and you were very passionate on the floor, but you ended up protesting and delaying it by talking about other bills that launched a filibuster that I truly believe Mr. Smith Goes to Washington would have been proud of. Tell me about...
Yeah, it lasted 60 days.
60 days. Tell me, did you know it would start? Take me to the beginning. When you found out this was going to happen, or this was happening, how did you make your plan to step out and be heard?
I made no plan. I sit on the committee that both the abortion ban and the trans healthcare ban would sit in. And the evening of the February 22nd, we had our executive session where it was voted out of committee. And I told my colleagues at that point in time that I thought it was reckless and bad public policy, and that if they chose to vote this out to the floor, that I was going to, I think what I said at the time was burn the session to the ground. So the next morning, I got up and I walked into the Capitol, and a reporter asked me what I was going to do today. And I said, well, I'm a woman of my words, so I guess I'm going to burn it to the ground. And I just started talking and just went from there. And my plan was that if this was the thing that was most important to my colleagues to do in 2023, that I was going to make it clear to everyone that this was the thing that was the most important to them, above taking care of Nebraskans, above tax cuts, property tax relief, public education. We had an enormous amount of revenue that we had never seen before, that they were going to prioritize legislating this hateful, vitriol-filled bill over anything else. I wanted to make sure that everybody knew that that's what was going on, and that they had the power to stop it from happening. All they had to do was tell me, we're not going to do this bill.
But they didn't tell you that.
Nope.
And so you kept talking.
Yep.
So for people like myself who aren't particularly well-versed in the rules governing Nebraska House or state Senate politics, it's unicameral there, right? Just one chamber?
Yes.
Yeah. So
yes.
The state politics, but you didn't have to stand for 24 hours a day, 60 straight days. The discussion on the floor is limited to 8 hours a day. But that's still a long time.
Not quite.
Oh, not quite. Okay.
It was longer.
Longer. Okay. But there is a limit on it. They do adjourn at some point. So you can run out the clock literally on a daily basis. How was this physically on you? Because I mean, everybody can make the joke, oh, you must have been drinking hot tea and honey and all that. But it's physically demanding to do this, and you are already emotionally drained because of the hatefulness of the bill and your colleagues.
Yeah. So actually, the day that I started the filibuster, I did not know at the time, but I had strep throat. And I filibustered for several days with strep throat undiagnosed. So I had like 102 fever and I was sweating and my throat hurt. And so that wasn't great, but that was the beginning. So I figured after that, if I could do this with strep throat, I probably could keep doing this once I had recovered from strep throat. I don't know. I just took it one day at a time, got up every single day and looked at what was on the agenda and said, okay, I'm going to do this. And just started talking I pretty much drank water and coffee. And we had a lunch break every day. So that's when I would go to the bathroom, and we had a 30-minute dinner break in the evenings. And then the latest we could go was 11:59. If we go past midnight, then it counted as an additional day, and we have a finite number of days. So we always adjourned before midnight, and then we would start up at 9 a.m.
If you'll allow me to be petty for just a moment, when you say you had strep throat, I'm really kind of hoping that when you were talking, you were spewing your strep germs towards the Republican side of the chamber. I'm not going to make you answer that. I'm just going to say that in my dream world, that's exactly what happened.
Sure. We don't actually sit divided like that.
Okay.
So
no one else was coming up to the podium because you were monopolizing it. So you probably didn't start an epidemic through the chamber.
Well, my colleague that I share my podium with is the first gay man elected to the legislature. Oh. So I did not spew in his general direction.
Okay, that's good. Thank you. On behalf of all of us and your colleague, thank you so much. So how did this eventually resolve itself?
Well, the bill passed, and as you said in your opening, it was what we called the Frankenstein bill. So the abortion ban, which was essentially a total ban, did not pass. It was one vote short. A Republican actually did not vote for cloture on that bill. And because it was a total ban, but they made a compromise with him for a 12-week ban that he agreed to, and they amended it into the 574, which was the anti-gender affirming care bill. They did also compromise with themselves, not with any of us, on the gender affirming care bill, and they put in a grandfather clause. So starting October 1, earlier this month, the ban on gender affirming care took effect. However, anyone who was receiving the care prior to October 1 was grandfathered in, which is interesting because it is an acknowledgement on their part that this is essential health care, and the disruption of it is detrimental to those that are seeking this care. So the fact that they would put in a grandfather clause is acknowledgement of what they're doing. And that's important. That's important to remember. And I hope that the courts remember that as well.
What is the point of all of this? Why? I mean, Nebraska is a very red state. I do believe Omaha's one electoral vote has gone to Democrats a couple of times in recent memory. But on the whole, it's a deep ruby red. What is the point? Why are they doing this? What's the end game? They already are the political kings of that state. Why? What's the point? I don't understand.
That's an excellent question that nobody's asked before. And so yes, Nebraska is a red state, but we're not a red state in the way that other red states are. We have always been, even our Republican leadership has been moderate. It has been collaborative. Our unicameral, is nonpartisan. We have not had the hyperbolic politics come to our state that have come to other states. We have always been insulated in that way. And now we are seeing a move to change that. So the point is not that we're a red state. The point is to make us like Florida and other extremely harmful public policy states. And that's the point for them.
Well, I've seen pictures of Nebraska in winter, so you're never going to really be Florida.
No, well, no.
You know, I read.
I don't know. Climate change, we could be Florida.
That's true. Yeah. You know, I read an article that you gave to The Guardian, and one of the quotes that stuck out with me, you said, "I am a substantial roadblock." Is that a philosophy now? I mean, how much of a thorn are you going to be in their side as we come back into new session, which is really just around the corner?
Don't remind me. It's in 2.5 months. Yeah, people have asked me if I'm going to continue filibustering next session, and I say it is not up to me. It is up to them. They have to make the choices, and they have the power. They have the majority of the votes. They have the leadership. And so it is up to them if I continue to be a roadblock or not. There was an article yesterday from the chair of the Appropriations Committee that he wrote about changing the rules so that I cannot filibuster the way that I did. They did change the rules halfway through session to try and hinder the filibuster, but they didn't understand the rule change that they were making. So I actually benefited from their rule change. But that's okay. So I don't know, but whatever obstacles they put in front of me, I will look at as opportunities to do it differently. And I will continue to do it differently until they do something differently. And in my mind, that is treat the people of Nebraska with kindness, compassion, and equality that they all deserve.
How did you come to this? How did you become an ally? It's one thing for people to go, yeah, you know, live and let live, which, and I'm from the Midwest, that was kind of a prevailing attitude, sort of a don't ask, don't tell before don't ask, don't tell ever happened. Why is it important to you to be our ally?
I don't think I ever was anything other than an ally in my life. It's hard to say because I just don't.
You don't know any other way.
Well, yeah, everyone deserves love and everyone deserves to live a full life and happiness, and everyone should be treated with kindness and compassion. And to me, it's just that simple. And as a policymaker, I should be doing everything in my power to ensure that everyone in the state has the ability to do those things. So I just always felt that way, and I've never distinguished any one group as being deserving of anything different. And so when it comes to marginalized communities, and I've seen, especially being in a red-white state, that marginalized communities have less representation, then it is my responsibility to step up and be the representation that they don't have.
What did you learn from your dad? Because he was a congressman, right, for 2 terms back in the day.
Back in the day.
But you know, what did you learn from him? What did you inherit from him politically? Because it's about, you've got 2 constituencies. You've got your constituents on Main Street, and you've got your constituents in the chamber. And what did you learn about working both sides of that?
We're not all that different from one another, and we shouldn't be treating each other as other. We should be approaching public policy with kindness, compassion in our hearts, with the best of intentions to do the most good, and assume the best of intentions of the people you're working with and try to bring them along to understand why what you're trying to accomplish is for the betterment of the people of the state.
What platform do you want next? A mayorship? A governor's
Oh God,
seat?
no.
What how do you want to make your voice heard and your values broadcast?
I love what I do. I love the Nebraska legislature. I think that it is an amazing institution that can be enormously impactful in the lives of the people here. Unfortunately, we have term limits in a unicameral, so I have 3 more years left here. I can sit out for a term and then run again. I don't know that I will. We'll see. I have 3 young kids, 9, 8, and 5. So,
oh my gosh.
Yeah.
You're a Wonder Woman. You're filibustering by day and taking care of 3 kids under 10 at night. That's amazing.
I would love to say that I was taking care of 3 kids under 10 at night. I was not. My husband was.
Okay.
He was a full-time single parent for those 60 days. And there's a lot of people behind me. I did not do this alone. My parents also were hugely helpful picking my kids up from school and all of those things. But I don't know what I'm going to do next. I don't know yet. I want to continue to build progressive power in Nebraska. And that's why my colleagues and I, Senator Megan Hunt and Senator John Frederickson, we started a PAC called Don't Legislate Hate. And we started it because, well, first of all, we were getting so much attention for what was happening in Nebraska, which is great for people to see us as a place where it's not just crazy, harmful policies, but it's also kind and compassionate people. But we need to work together to build power so that we don't lose this, that we don't lose what is special about Nebraska. And so that's why we started the PAC. So focusing on the 2024 elections, which all 3 of us are not up for elections. So we're focusing on making sure that we retain several important legislative seats. We have a very viable Democrat running for Congress in Omaha. We have an independent running for U.S. Senate. And so, trying to continue to invest in building progressive power in Nebraska is currently my focus.
And how can people show support for Don't Legislate Hate? Because most of the time we think of PACs, we think of them collecting $25,000, $100,000 here and there. But this is meant to be an accessible PAC, right?
I mean, sure, they can donate $25,000 if they want, or 25. Yeah, it is an accessible PAC. It is. It's not a super PAC. It is just a regular state PAC. It's not a federal PAC either. So people can just go online and donate to don'tlegislateHate.org. But it's really, our intention is to elevate the conversation and to invest in candidates that are going to ensure a better future for everyone and not just for a few.
Now, Omaha hosts Heartland Pride every year.
Yes.
Have you been to this event before? Now that you're sort of our Omaha hero, do you think will you be attending this summer?
I attend this event every year.
Okay.
I have attended it before I was in office. It is a wonderful event, and to see how much it has grown year after year has been very moving. This summer, it was really like the balm for my soul that I needed. It was after session had ended, and it was the largest it's ever been. And I think it was as large as the only other large scale parade that the city has, which is our Septemberfest parade. It was pretty enormous and just really filled with love And I did not see, maybe they were there, but I did not see any protesters this year, which is unusual. So, yeah, I'll keep going to Heartland Pride. It's a great event.
But that's like, do you ever want to like just like, how can I say this? Take your pictures and like send them to all your colleagues that are voting against LGBTQ rights. Send them your pictures and go, what are you afraid of? This is what you're afraid of?
Yeah, I mean, so many of them made a point of saying that they were not against LGBTQ people, that they did this because they care about children. And I think that some people believed that. I think that some people truly did not understand what they were doing and what was going on, and they believed that they were doing the right thing. So I think they think that it's a social contagion, which I believe that what they're doing is a social contagion.
It is. We are living in a backwards world. I mean, yeah. That's just all that there is. Blue is green, and white is black these days.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today on Queer News Tonight. And you can visit CavanaughForLegislature.org, right?
Yes.
To get more details. We can follow you. I'm already following you on social media platforms. So people can stay in touch. The fight is not over, but it's great to know that the fight rages on even in places where we thought it was well done.
Yeah, the fight rages on in Nebraska.
Thank you so much, Senator. We appreciate your time today. Have a great weekend.
Thank you. You too.